Hi, folks. This is your host Mandeep, and today is 25th December. Merry Christmas to all. And what I've done today is I've released the newest and the latest version of the Ultimate Trading Signal version 6. Now, what makes this different and unique is that it includes a reporting capability whereby you can check the profit and loss of how this strategy has performed over a period of time on any stock over any time period. Now, one of the things I can guarantee you is that if you go and buy an indicator from anybody that is written one for retailers, none of them will actually show you any kind of a reporting capability whereby you can see how this strategy has performed. A very worst case, what they will do is they will pick some stocks on which it has worked, and they'll show you a report of that. Now, while I can't show you, the strategy on every stock in every, time frame, what I'm doing is I'm giving you the ability to actually take a look at, how this performs. So for the people that are already using this strategy, this is one of the most commonly requested feature, which was, the ability to generate the reports by themselves, and that's what I provide in this. Now, those of you who are not familiar with the ultimate trading strategy, I have a couple other videos, that talk about the overview of this strategy. So, in summary, this strategy is based on a concept called multi-time framing, right? Where what we're doing is we're not looking at any one indicator, but we're looking at um, a little, about a dozen indicators, and we're looking at those dozen indicators on four different time frames. So if you're looking at the 15-minute chart, then the four time frames are the 30 hour, 4 hour. Now, if you're looking at the hourly time frame, then you look at hour, 4 hour, day, week, etc. So depending upon the time frame that you feel most comfortable trading, this strategy can be automatically adapted to that. Now, what further makes this strategy unique is that it gives you two things. It first gives you a couple of different scans, and each of this scan enables you to select, which stock to trade if you are, a short-term trader, or it gives you a list for intermediate-term trading as well. Now, once you have that list, the uh, signal actually gives you the precise entries and exits for that trade. And this combination is what makes this, unique. And what I've now done is, added another level of improvement into the software whereby any user can now see how this strategy is performing by looking at the profit loss report. So without further ado, let's get into what are the details of what is in this new strategy. Now, this is the standard template, and if you are a new buyer or a new customer, this is exactly what your interface was going to look like. And I have if you go to my website, if you buy the product. The simplest way, obviously, is to go into the setup, and you will click on the open shared item, and there's a URL. You will paste the URL in this, save it, and you'll be able to then get a replica of this template. Now, for those of you who already have the software, just there's some minor nuances to it, and I just want to make sure everybody understands as they upgrade to this new version. So you click on this beaker sign, and what you have here is studies, and normally everything was part of the studies, right? So but in this case, instead of studies, you would click on the strategy, and then I have given you the file, which I sent you as an attachment in the email. You would click on the import button and point to the directory where you actually saved the strategy that I sent you in the email, and then you would import this strategy. Once it's done, you can then search here for UTS prod, and just apply that study. So in my case, excuse me, it's already applied. Uh, and anytime you want to apply it to an existing template that you have, you will not be going into studies anymore. You have to go into the strategy. That's the only way you'll be able to see the profit and the loss report on this stock. So that's pretty much that you need to know as far as the install is concerned. Now, if you click on the gear, there's a couple options that I want to make sure everybody understands. You don't need to mess with the first two options, just leave it to EMA and close. And these are the only two things that you may need to adjust, right? And just like before, I offer two trading styles. I offer an aggressive trading style and a conservative trading style. So in the conservative trading style is looking for more signals on more time frames to actually be aligned before it takes a decision. The aggressive mode, it'll take it um, at an earlier stage. Now, typically the number of shares when you first install it will always default to 100. So the profit loss report is going to be generated based on 100 shares that you have. So, well, in this particular case, I'm using three, and this is actually because I want to show you what the results look like if you're trading the E-mini futures here and just trading three contracts, right? So that's, you're not going to trade 100 contracts, at least, most people wouldn't, right? So now what we do is we'll cancel out of this. And one of the things we can do is we just need to right click on this and then look for this option called the show report option. Just click on it. Now, this gives you, and this report is actually for like approximately a year or so. So what you can see are about 365 days. Now, what you can do, what you'll see here is the first line is basically the one that's blank means the actual, trade is being opened here. So in this case here, sell to open, so you're selling short three contracts at a particular price, and this is the actual amount. And then the three shares are being covered on the 7:30 18 whatever at the precise time it's giving you, and what the profit loss is, right? So you can go through this, and now we can go through all the way to the end, and you can see the actual profit loss. So in this case it traded 268 trades, so the maximum profit was 11,000, and your total profit on this strategy, if you used it, verbatim, would be 100,000. So in this case, we are looking at. Show you the precise time frames. We're trading on the hourly, and the time frame is 360 days, and so this gives you, the results would vary if you were on a 15 or a 30-minute time frame. So that's one thing that you have complete control over. Now, if you have a particular stock that you love to trade, although my preference is always to pick from the list that we have, right? But if you wanted to, you can always check or create some notes that this particular strategy works best on this time frame. Now let's just sort of switch gears, and what we'll do is we'll go and default it to what the standard is, and here you can change it from 3 to 100 shares. All right, save it, apply, okay. And one of the things we can do is we can also say, okay, let's look at some shorter time frames. So let's, in this case, look at the 15, but we'll, instead of 30 days, let's look at 90. It's good to have at least 90 days because then it gives you some meaningful data around it, right? So we can look at some, this is the standard list that I provide you guys. You can take a look at Apple and see, now it's giving you exact entries and exit, but at the same time, it's also showing you the report on this, right? So now we're looking at 100 shares, and you can see there's a profit of 1891 on 69 trades on this, right? And you obviously, if you trade like 200 shares or 300 or whatever your number is, or 50, you can adjust this, and it'll always reflect the exact profit loss report for any stock. Now let's look at other stocks. Let's look at Amazon. And just like it isn't really feasible to go through like the entire S&P 500, but you'll just get an idea. The reporting is exactly the same, and in each case you can see your report. So in this case also it's profitable, about 2200 in profits, right? Let's look at a couple more. Like let's look at Google, and these are like things that people love to trade all the time, right? And Google generated about 13,000. Let's take a look at some of the stocks that have done well recently. Let's look at Tesla as another example. So in Tesla, let's click on show report. Tesla generated about 7,800. But we can also switch the time frame. Let's go back to an hour and see what happened on the hourly chart. And the hourly chart is based on 180 days, so approximately 6 months of data. So let's just right click on this and click on show report, and this generated a little bit less, right? So maybe if we look at the whole year, the profit would be way higher on this as well. Let's take a look at how Roku performed, and we can look at the 15 as well on this one. So in this case, you generated about $6,000 in profit. So I'm not saying everything is going to be positive. That's actually impossible in the world of trading. There will be certain stocks, especially if they're low volatility stock, or they don't belong into the list. It's possible that they are the profit is actually low, or in some cases it'll be negative as well. So in those cases, what you can do is play with a couple of things, and play with a couple different time frames and see, because some things may not actually work out on the 15-minute time frame, but will be profitable on the 30-minute time frame. And between a combination of aggressive and conservative, you'll be able to find like a sweet spot for a particular stock. And in those rare situations when you can't find anything that works, then that's a stock that's not worth trading with the ultimate trading strategy, right? But again, I highly recommend it, to use the lists, because those lists are giving you stocks that are really the best of the best, right? So here's AXSM, that's actually done pretty well. So it's got a profit of 2081, and we can again drill down and say, okay, let's look at the 15-minute profit of this trade, and we'll default it to uh, 90 days, because that probably gives us enough data to look at. So let's look at, instead of 30, let's look at the 90-minute, and just right click on this and say show report, and you see again, you'll see what the profit is of this trade, right? So hopefully this gives you an overview of what the changes are, and I think this is one of the coolest feature that is now incorporated into the trading strategy, whereby any user can see for themselves, right? I mean, I don't have to tell them, whether the system works or not. I mean, once you have the system, people have already come back and shown me some reports in my Discord room in terms of what kind of profitability they're seeing. So this enables you to backtest the software on multiple time frames, and especially if you're like a longer term trader, then you want to be looking at day trades, or maybe the 4 hour, etc., and you can quickly test to see how they're doing. So one last thing is that I've held the price fairly consistent for this software, and it is actually on the website. The link I will again provide at the bottom. And if you buy before the end of the year, you will get it for the price that's listed on the website. And there are versions that work on the mobile as well as on the desktop. And after the new year, the prices of both the products will go up. The price of UTS will most likely go up by about 250 to about $300, and likewise the mobile will go up by at least $100 as well. So if you want to grab it, grab it before the end of the year. And one of the things I've been doing is I've been offering discounts, etc. But like it just for accounting purposes, it's much harder to create coupons, etc. So I'm going to stop doing that, and going forward, whatever is listed on the website is the only price that I'll provide the product for. So once again, you guys have a wonderful holiday season, and if you have any questions, you know how to connect with me. Leave a comment, or if you're in my Discord room, you can send me a note. Take care. Bye bye.